of the main things that short form did for the entire world was take this platform of you need a production crew to get viewership and get attention, and it just reset it again. Because suddenly you were getting people who were using their phone who had just as much chance, if not more chance, because it was more authentic, than me with a production crew. So suddenly it was like, hold on, I have production costs, I have editing time, but actually I can be outpaced and outviewed by people with their phones, right? Like if you guys did a reel of today, which you will do later, it will be out before mine. 150% it will be out before mine. Just because of the nature of how I'm doing mine. However, because I'm building a strategic partnership around how I'm distributing my content, which is what I haven't heard in the room yet, which is interesting, and it's what happens really early in content, because sometimes, especially when you start with video, people go, hey, you should do video, because it gets attention. But then what? Because the question actually is, what attention do you want? Who is it? Where is it? And then what do you want to do with it? Because I can get your attention. I've got your attention by you being here. Okay, but now what do I want to do with it? And what can I do with it? So the first question is not actually what should you create? It's why should you create it? Now the easy answer to this question is, I want to make more money. It is, let's be honest. Because everyone in this room is a business owner, right? We're doing it to increase the likelihood we're going to get more clients or more work from what we're doing. It's about understanding when you're over here and when you're over here, and what you're spending more time on, here or over there. Be honest with yourself, because the only way you're going to improve is by being honest. So which one are you spending more time on? Over here as a creator or over there as a consumer? Hello everyone.
Hello.
How is everyone?
Brilliant.
Fantastic. My name is Brunton. Those who don't know me, I run Brunton Media over in Salisbury, and I run, basically what we do is we're a video marketing company. So the first question I always start one of these workshops with is, firstly, have you used video before? And if you have, how did you find it? What were your hurdles? The reason why I asked that question is, for me, it's important to focus in on what the common issues are in the room, right? Because I can sit here and go, right, how are we going to script it? How are we going to build it? How are we going to go from there? The first thing I would say in regards to like how to come across on camera well, there's a level of you just have to do it a shit ton. Right? Because you say having a conversation with someone is really natural, but that's because you've done it for your whole life. That's why it's natural. It's not magic, it's because you're used to doing it, right? If you've done video a handful of times, yeah, of course it's not going to be natural. For me at the start of the year, doing this was not natural. If you know what you know, and you're good at what you do, and you actually know your shit, you don't need to worry about what if I sound like an idiot? What if I sound wrong? You've got to work on the psychology part of it, which is, why do I feel like I'm going to be awkward? Why do I feel like I'm not going to come across very well? Why am I worried about how it looks? Because reality, the fact is, the reason why we shoot on professional cameras with professional lighting is yes, to make it good and make it look and sound good, but that's because that's what I sell, right? You can get the same, one of the main things that, and I'm going to go on to short form content a little bit later, one of the main things that short form did for the entire world was take this platform of you need a production crew to get viewership and get attention, and it just reset it again. Because suddenly you were getting people who were using their phone who had just as much chance, if not more chance, because it was more authentic, than me with a production crew. So suddenly it was like, hold on, I have production costs, I have editing time, but actually I can be outpaced and outviewed by people with their phones, right? Like if you guys did a reel of today, which you will do later, it will be out before mine. 150% it will be out before mine, just because of the nature of how I'm doing mine. However, because I'm building a strategic partnership around how I'm distributing my content, which is what I haven't heard in the room yet, which is interesting, and it's what happens really early in content, because sometimes, especially when you start with video, people go, hey, you should do video, because it gets attention. But then what? Because the question actually is, what attention do you want? Who is it? Where is it? And then what do you want to do with it? Because I can get your attention. I've got your attention by you being here. Okay, but now what do I want to do with it? and what can I do with it? So the first question is not actually what should you create, it's why should you create it? Now the easy answer to this question is, I want to make more money. It is, let's be honest, right? Because everyone in this room is a business owner, right? We're doing it to increase the likelihood we're going to get more clients or more work from what we're doing. However, do we know the process? I'll go around the room again in a second. Do you know the process from someone's just found Colton to someone's going to hire Colton? Because unless you're selling something that's £5 or £10, there has to be a process. Because someone to part with £100, £1,000, £10,000, or etc., or something as important as life insurance, for example, you have to have a nurture process. Because otherwise, what just stands you apart? What's going to be in the position where you're going to go, I should work with this person? You know, people ask me all the time, why do I do things like this? I do things like this because it positions me as the go-to expert. So when you want to do a video strategy, not just a video strategy, potentially you should have a conversation with me because I can offer more than just a video. But also you're going to expect potentially to pay more for that service because I'm giving you more of my time, my resources, my energy, my experience. So take a moment or two to think about, why do you want to create video? And the answer cannot be, I want to make more money or I want to get more clients. What we want to know is what's the bit below that. Because that's the bit that's important. It might be you need to educate your clients. It might be you need to have more awareness so you can get in front of more clients. These are two common ones. Might be something very, very niche. So for you, it might be this specific insurance no one understands.
Sure.
Okay, so you know what you need to create now. Educational content around that specific insurance. Now there's a business conversation there, which is how much profit do you make from the specific insurance, right? But that's part of the conversation before you start creating content, which goes into the reasoning. Firstly, are you promoting the thing that's going to make you the most money? And or do you want to? Because some of the time we want to actually, if you have a structured tier system, like I do, for example, I have coaching followed by repurposing, e.g. taking something you already create and we create social media content from it. And then there's the video production element. But I've designed my entire business so you can come on down here at a lower ticket offering, which is let me coach you, let me help you. Then potentially you'll go, oh, you're going to try something yourself. You're going to make a podcast. We talked about podcasting earlier. Okay, cool. But what happens about repurposing that podcast? What about getting that podcast in viewership? What about getting some listeners? Okay, so one of the ways to do that is put it on social media. Okay, cool. So potentially we could have gone from coaching after this maybe, and then you could have gone, actually, I've got this podcast, but I want it to get some more traction. Okay, let's try and put some stuff on social. Cool. But then actually you might go and try doing the podcast yourself and you've got all the kit and you've got all the stuff that you're doing. And you might go, oh my God, it's time consuming, it's challenging, it takes time, it takes energy to do properly. So then you potentially might come over. Do you see why in just using my business as an example, someone can go from here to here? And I have content that bridges this gap. I have content that bridges this gap. That's the purpose of my content. I've also got content here as well that says, hey, look at me. This is what I'm doing. Can I have your attention, please? But the key, as I say, is why. So take a couple of minutes and think about specifically why you want to create content. As I say, you can't answer, I want more clients. Because that's easy. Give you 2 minutes. Have a think.
I'm thinking of it from the Ignite. Yeah, that's good. Right, okay, good. Because I don't particularly want to create content on track at the moment. And on time. Ready more stuff. On track. So
Bad place to be.
it's not a bad place to be, except when it is. Yes.
I mean, that's a different question entirely there. Because you're in a position where you don't have the time to create the content now, but in 3 to 6 months you may need to.
It's not the time to create the content, it's the time to do the work that content could potentially generate. I don't do much. I know it's bad, but I don't do much social media stuff at all.
That's fine if you don't need to, but
Coming at me from personal recommendations.
but there will be a cap on that personal recommendation, right?
You would think so, wouldn't you? And I keep thinking I've got there. Obviously not.
So there's a longer business conversation there, right? Which is around necessarily you need to find a way to cull the people you're working with eventually, right? Unless you're at capacity and you're happy at being at capacity, that's cool. If you are, all good.
Yeah. So for right now, I am, and I know that I need to make some adjustments to some things, which I'm working on with another bookkeeper that I know. So that's sort of in process, and then I probably will need to start thinking about targeting who I actually want to target.
Because the thing is, the problem with when you're full capacity is you're charging the same, but you're then just going to work a load and make the same, right? What can happen is there'll be a position in your position which is, I'm full capacity, I can't even think about doing anything else. But what would happen if you added 20%, 30%, 40% on your prices?
Well, that's what tends to happen when you get to this busy and you think, oh, I really need help.
Because it's not sustainable to be that busy, right?
No.
Or it potentially might be, but it won't be for your work-life balance, right? But then the question comes is, how do you deal with that? Option A, up your prices. Okay, cool. But then as you up your prices more, you're naturally going to say no to quite a bit of work because people just can't simply afford you.
Yeah.
But then this is where the nurture point comes in. Because the higher ticket your sale, the more nurturing you have to do.
Yeah.
Because you have to have more touch points per thing you're selling, right? So if I'm selling a £10,000 product, I need to have a lot more touch points than a £10 product because the risk to that person is higher. Therefore, I have to prove my value a lot more.
I think that's where it's different from me because people that come to me, they do already know me a lot of the time.
Which is the benefit of personal referrals. You don't have to nurture.
I've got previous colleagues in other jobs I used to have, like the various places I've worked, I've got a client from pretty much every job I've ever had. And so it's, they come to me because they already know who I am. So it is lovely, and I'm definitely not complaining about how busy I am. It's just, I know I need to adjust some things so that I can make room to take before you do the marketing. Which is why all marketing stuff on track's on hold. But Ignite is at this lovely stage where we're just starting to reach a few people that don't know either of us. And it's really cool. And so that's the bit I want to focus on, is getting out to people that don't know us already.
And I suppose the videos for us are about, if we can't say getting people to the events, is about showing people the value of our events and what they can expect.
And who we are.
Yeah.
Like letting people get to know us.
Because we're so new, we need people to get to know what Ignite is all about. And if they're watching a video of, say, our coffee morning, they can think, oh, that looks cool.
Yeah.
So they feel comfortable, they know us before they walk in the door to one of our scary networking events because it's new.
Feel like fear of missing out watching our videos. Like, I want to be there.
Fear of missing out is a very powerful tool if you know how to use it.
Yeah.
Right? Why does every single retailer have a Christmas offer?
Why?
Fear of missing out on the offer.
Oh, yeah.
However, it can go the other way.
That's why the DFS sale is on all year round.
The problem, and that's the problem, and that's the problem. When you start getting to the point where your offers or your sales are predictable, January, I'll give you an example, right?
Yeah, so no one will buy.
There's no such thing as fear of missing out if you know it's going to happen, because it will happen every year, right?
Yeah.
So then you're not using fear of missing out.
And that's another one of the reasons why we don't put our events out publicly, even though we know when they're going to be, too far ahead of time, because
It's a difficult balance, right?
you can't come to this networking event. You'll feel like, I don't know whether to come to this one or not, but do you know what, I'll hold off, I'll go to the next one. But if you don't know when the next one's going to be, but you can make that one, then you might make the effort to actually come out. So it's not like, that sounds a bit like we're trying to manipulate people, and I don't mean it like that. But I would do that. I would look ahead and think, oh, I don't know if I'm in the mood. Oh,
There's one
okay,
next
well,
month,
there'll be one next month, I'll go to that. And then you end up just not...
There's pros and cons to both, right?
Yeah.
Because there's the argument to the other side is you want people to build habits around what you're doing, right? Why does building a routine, I post my podcast on a Monday, I then post this on a Wednesday, I then post this on a Friday, work so well? Because people will build their routines around, right, I want to watch this podcast, so on Monday, I'm going to sit down at this time because it will be time. So I'm going to release the podcast at this time, this date, so people will build habits around it. So it's actually a larger conversation.
So busy that you want them to have your dates in their diary too.
Yeah.
You don't book it up for something else. So it's a fine balance. But yeah, it's very easy for people just to not bother. That's the trouble. It's easy to not bother.
But yeah,
Unless you think
I
you
think
might not get on the chance.
yeah, but I think with video we definitely need people to just watch and just think I want to go to that next event, and that's what we're trying.
I'll come back to that. So
You just have people dying all over the place, basically.
now that's shock marketing, right? That's a different separate conversation again, right?
I just want them to watch and think, I need insurance. So just dead people everywhere. Oh my god.
So if you don't get life insurance, you'll be one of these. Anyway, so a moment ago I asked everyone to think about why. I'm going to do a really quick round the room. Why do you want to create content? Anyone want to jump in first?
I feel like we just did it.
Yeah.
You guys did.
We've done it. So you guys, come on.
So I wanted to start building that
Yeah.
channel, but also I need it because I need to develop video material, training material. So I need it in my business, and I haven't got over the whole. I haven't got over myself yet. That's what it is, I think.
Haven't got over the, oh my God, I have to do video. Oh my God, how am I going to sound, look or feel?
Yeah, exactly that.
Well, hopefully by the end of today, you won't have any of those. Or at least be on the path towards it. It's funny. The last time I did this, people had the same problem as you. And by the end... Hello, Jane. By the end, people genuinely had removed nearly every single psychological barrier they had. Now, they needed to practice it a bit more, because there, as I said at the beginning, there's a level of just, you need to do it a lot, right? You're not going to get to the same conversation-based comfort by not doing it a lot. The reason why I'm comfortable with doing video is because I've done it for 10 years.
I'd say, only doing the 2 videos is one of those days when I just went, I'm just going to do this, didn't want to do it, and actually by the time I was like, well, okay, I'm okay, I can speak to Karen, I just need to solve this problem, I need to solve that problem. You kind of just get off just do it.
Get over yourself.
Get over yourself a bit.
Yeah.
So outside of showing people a part of their bodies, which maybe, maybe not the best marketing strategy.
No, probably not. I think
Just record it in a graveyard.
that's it, yeah.
So if you don't want to end up being here, anyway.
I think I just want just a greater level of exposure from so I want to get some sort of exposure for people to share my content. So the people obviously I'm friends with on Facebook and those sorts of things, they know who I am, and to a degree will know a bit about what I do. But I'd like it so it's engaging enough so that they feel naturally that that'd be useful to share it about. So this is what I was saying about almost condensing it and coming across as professional but relaxed and it's more exposure. I think I don't know if that's the right answer, but that's what I'm going with.
If it's the right answer to you, it's the right answer. These are all personal answers. I'm just facilitating getting you there.
For me, I'm a chiropractor, so as in this country, like in healthcare, it's not a mainstream thing at all. So it's about, I guess, about exposure again, getting people aware of what I do, because people, I think, a lot on social media, you can see these videos of people cracking people's backs and like hearing a crunch, and that's all great because it just like that is a part of what we do. But it's also then we want the aspect of like educating. What else does chiropractic offer? What is that actually doing to your body that can actually help you? And bringing in those patients and letting them know what we're all about and how we can help a multitude of different diseases and things. And that sort of aspect. So educating and raising awareness, and maybe some videos of treatments.
You don't want to just want the bodybuilder that can't lift his arm, but comes into the chiropractor at the end of the day, yeah, look, I can lift my arm. The classic video.
I mean, that's a social proof conversation, right? Because you've got someone who is idolized because of their body, who says, I had this problem, and you fixed it, right? Now, whenever we create content, we want this level of story. But what you actually want to do is you don't want to do that in one piece. You want to do that across your content, right? So you want to tell a story in very small chunks. Because unfortunately, the attention span of human being is dwindling rapidly, unfortunately, right? There was a study in 2015 that said that we were just below a goldfish.
That's so
I was
bad.
gonna say
And that's
the goldfish
2015,
is
right?
overtaking us.
Right? So if you take the logic of it's dwindling and it's continued to dwindle since then, it will be drastically less than a goldfish now, because that was 2015. But just briefly moving back to why people want to do video, why people should do video, anyone who's been in business long enough will know a lot of what we're talking about here is people buying from people, right?
Yeah.
One of the reasons why video is the most powerful is it's the one way you can not necessarily trade, you trade time up front, but you don't consistently trade time to meet people, right? That's why video is powerful. Video is powerful because I can have a conversation with a camera and then have the same conversation with 16 other people at the same time. So the reason why we document a lot what I do is because any information I would give to you, if I wasn't filming it, would stay in this room. But I can cut it up, distribute it, send it to new clients, say, this clip, this is the answer to your problem. I can send this clip to that client. And I'm not adding any more, I haven't added any more time. Because if I didn't have that, I would be, right, let's get on a call. Right, let's explore the issue. Then let's go with, I'm saying the same thing again. But the thing we're doing as a video is you get the same level of connection that we would all have here today. You do it once and you can reuse it. So it becomes this asset for you, right? Also, when you put it on social, as long as you think about how you're doing your keywords, you think about how you're doing your hashtags, it can be found by someone you have no idea who they are, especially if you're consistent. The key with anything you do in marketing is about being consistent. If you're going to do one video and go, oh, it didn't work, then don't, because you haven't even started. It's all a momentum thing, right? We were talking about Reels a little bit earlier and about going, what gets views, what doesn't, etc. There's certain metrics that each platform will look at. Number one is consistency. Number two is watch time. How long is the audience watching the video? Shorter the video, especially if it's got text on it. The reason why you'll see a lot of TikToks, for example, with text on that's larger than the screen is because they're trying to get more people to watch the video because you have to watch it multiple times to read the whole thing. E.g.,
It's very obvious though, I think. I've noticed that.
let's say it's a 15-second video.
When I started watching these,
It will probably take you about 45 seconds to read this paragraph, which means you've watched the video 3 times.
To hold it.
Now, you can cheat it by pausing it and reading it, but then you've got a play button in the way. What most people do is they won't even pause it. They'll literally just let it rerun.
Oh, I don't know. Hold it.
if you hold the screen, you mean?
Well, then you've broken the system. Congratulations. But the majority are just going to look at it.
Yeah, especially if it's a really short video, you will just let
Because the video itself is probably about 15 seconds-ish, right? But the text itself is probably closer to a minute to read.
Or it cuts off really quick. It's just there for like a second and then it's gone. Because the video's ended. And you're like, oh.
And then it loops back to the beginning where you've got to wait 13 seconds to see the answer again. What they're doing is they're trying to get more watch time into that video. Because you watch a video once, you get 100% watch time. You watch it again, you get 200%. Watch it again, 300. And so on. The reason why stuff goes viral from a technical algorithmic point of view is very simple. When you first post a video, as I post a reel of this or etc., it's shown to 10% of my audience, if I'm lucky. It's probably closer to 1%. But for the sake of this conversation, we'll say 10%. And then it goes, right, on average, did they like it? Did they comment on it? How long did they watch it for? Did they go and watch another video on my profile? These are all things that the algorithm changes. There's no point in me saying, the algorithm does this, the algorithm does that. Because by the time you go home, it will have changed, right? But these are the fundamentals that it keeps changing around the priority of. And in reality, it's like SEO. It's actually probably a mixing pot of all of it. And it just takes an average. So let's say you win the average, right? It got sent to 10% of your audience or 1% of your audience. And that 1% all watched it, all commented on it, all liked it, reshared it, saved it. Then what's going to happen is 20%, a new 20% audience, so 20% of common traits of the audience it first tried to send the video to. It will send similar people. So these are new people now. These are not people within your network, not people within your followers. These are new people who are interested in whatever the topic is. This is where hashtags are important. Because what hashtags are going to say is, hey, platform, this is what this video is about. Because the platform just knows there's a video there. You'll know this as a copywriter. The reason why copy is important is because you're telling the platform more than anything else, this video is about video content creation. This video is teaching people how to get better at video. Okay, so I'm telling LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, etc., hey, this video is actually about creating videos. So only show it to people who may be interested in creating videos. Because at the end of the day, what does the platform want?
Engagement.
Okay, but why?
Make money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes and yes, but why?
So you can
How do they make money?
so you can sell your information.
Advertising, revenue generating.
Both. More your side now than others because of the political scandals that's happened before. But what advertisers actually want to know is consumer behavior. Why do these platforms want your attention? Why do they want data? So they can predict consumer behavior. In the same way with business. We want to predict when am I like if you told me, someone could tell me the exact timing for exact price and exact timing that everyone in the world wanted to buy video, how profitable and how valuable would that information be for me as a video production company? Right? So that's all that advertising is. It's creating profiles and creating audiences of pots to say these people like video, these people like copywriting, these people like dancing, these people like cats, these people like other things. And then it goes, this video is related to cats. Put it to this audience. See what happens. This audience likes video. Let's put it over here. See what happens.
This audience likes Johnny Depp. Go on then, have loads of it.
Yes, and you know, the TikTok is known for this, but the other platforms are now starting to emulate it. When I first gave this workshop, it hadn't happened. Now it's happened. Nearly every single platform that has short form on it is changing their entire algorithm so it pushes interests over whether you're following them or not. TikTok had this as a concept already, and that's why it got exploded. Because instead of me having to go, I'm going to follow this person, I'm going to follow this person, I'm going to follow this person, I'm going to follow this, it just went, you like this, I'm going to show you more of it.
Yeah.
The silly analogy I always use is, I like cats, I'm watching cats. Wow, my FYP's full of cats. It's simply because it's just seeing me going, Colton is consuming a lot of cats. So let's keep him on the platform by showing him more cats. There's other things like it trips your process in your brain to give you endorphin hits when you get a like, etc. These things are designed to be addictive. But the question is, are you going to leverage what these platforms are? They're not going to change. The platforms are never going to change. They're just going to get worse, right? The question is, which side of it you're going to be on? The creator side or the consuming side? There's nothing wrong being on both. It's about understanding when you're over here and when you're over here. And what you're spending more time on. Here or over there. Be honest with yourself. Because the only way you're going to improve is by being honest. So which one are you spending more time with? Over here as a creator or over there as a consumer? Or do you open the app wanting to post something or create something and find that you've just consumed for an hour?
Yes, sometimes.
No, I haven't attempted to create properly yet. Sorry, Cole.
Again, it's timing.
But I wasn't using it at all until your last one. So, you know, it's
And now
no.
she just looks at cats all day.
getting comfortable in those platforms is...
No, there's nothing wrong. As I say, there's nothing wrong with being here or here. You should actually be in both. But when you're here, you should be in your own niche, understanding what content's being created. And some of it looking at cats because they're fun. And funny videos and so on. Fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But what you need to understand is what's going to change your algorithm. So if you're used to, like for example, if I'm used to seeing filmmaking and I suddenly watch a load of cats, it's going to sabotage my FYP because it will push cats because it doesn't have a memory span of going, Colton, like, in some ways it does, in some ways it doesn't, but it will always prioritize the thing that you just consumed enough of, right? So if I was like heavily into filmmaking content and I suddenly really liked cats, it's just going to push me cats because it's like, well, he's interested in cats at the moment, so let's give him cats. But the reason why you should be here is because everyone who said, oh, I don't know what to create, open the app, see what you enjoy. Open the app, see what your colleagues or your competitors or the people who do what you do or similar to what you do are creating. Okay, maybe you're lucky, maybe you're in a position where barely anyone is creating. Fantastic, move over here very quickly. Because now you can be the person who sets the trends. You can be the person who gets the attention. We all just said around the table, I want more exposure, I want to be able to educate my audience. Then you need to be here. You need to look over here, and you need to be here. Because the more time you spend here, the better you're going to get. The better you get, the further ahead you're going to get for when your competitors decide they're going to do video. Video is not that intimidating once you understand the fundamentals behind it.
I don't see a lot. I mean, I know a lot of people in my industry, but I don't see a lot of people doing video, to be blunt. I mean, I don't think I've seen anybody else do it.
Okay, let's explore why.
It's difficult.
Okay, that's fine. No, that's fine. That might be a fair argument.
It's not an exciting subject, so it's hard to...
So it's hard to come up with a creative idea to make it exciting.
Yeah, certainly.
You use fun real things and when you point in the air and...
That sounds like a lot of editing that I haven't got the skill to do.
The skill is not the problem, it's time consuming. I can talk you through how to do that in a minute. The question which is interesting is every single service that everyone in this room has technically is boring. Let's think about it really, really simply. It's boring. It is. Unless you make it not boring. You can have anything in the world. Yes, things are slightly more creative. Yes, things are slightly more fun to talk about or showcase, perhaps, than insurance. Fine. However, that should be a challenge to overcome, not, oh, I'm not going to bother. Because if you're the first person to do it, what's going to happen?
Yeah, you get the traction, the exposure.
You're going to get everything you want and the work. Because you'll have an open market. Because no one will be doing it. Right? 95% of the video market don't do what I'm currently doing. They spend a lot of their time focusing on client work, which I understand, which is great, fantastic, and creating pieces of art. Majority don't talk about why. We are 45 minutes into this workshop, and I haven't even told you about how. Right? And to be honest, I'm just scratching the surface of why. Because I think why is more important. Because why would you spend money, resources, time, energy building a skill that has no purpose to your bottom line? Because as we said at the beginning, everyone here wants to increase their business. They want to create an online course. They want to get people to understand insurances. They want to actually help people understand why it's not just clicking sounds, right? They want people to come to events. They want people to synergize in a larger community. I want people to be able to tell their stories and not feel really nervous and really upset when they tell their stories. We all want the similar thing. The question is how you're going to become unique and how you're going to hold yourself to account when it comes to doing the level of consistency when you get nothing. In most cases, when you start creating video, it will be no views, 2 views, 4 views, 6 views, 2 views, no views, 10 views, no views, maybe 50 views, and then maybe something. There's a conversation I always have with people sometimes around vanity metrics. They're good to understand whether something's working and whether it's connecting with the people you want it to connect with. If you've already targeted an audience and you've said, right, it is talking to the right people because I know who it's talking to, but it's not getting engagement, then you need to work on the content because the content's not good enough. But if it's getting lots of interaction, but it's not doing anything for your business, might be the wrong audience. Might be the wrong people viewing it. People might go, wow, that's really cool. Now I'm going to go look at a cat. And they're not going to hang around in your space. They're not going to look at more of your content. Because what you want people to do is you want to have an archive of content where someone finds one of my videos and goes, right, wow, what's over here? What's this one? What's this one? Because I'm almost willing to bet either after this, before this, hopefully not during, there will be a point where everyone in this room, bar Richard, that will binge watch some of my content. There might be 2 videos, there might be 6. There will be a point because your curiosity will get the better of you. It might be in 6 months' time, but your curiosity will get the better of you. Because you'll see me constantly, because we're going to post consistently, and you'll go, I remember him from somewhere. Where do I remember? Where did I meet him? And then eventually you'll go, play. And then I've got your attention. Now, what am I going to do with that attention? What am I going to give you back in exchange for that attention? Because this is something about attention. Everyone wants it. The reason why 95% of the world don't get it is because they don't give anything back. They say, can I have your attention? Sure. But then they don't say anything. They don't do anything. They just stand here and go, fantastic, I got the attention. You've got to do something. You've got to say, this is how I can help your life. Why should I have insurance? Why should I go to a chiropractor? Why should I come to it at night? These are the questions you need to answer. And not in a fluffy way, this is what the outcome is. We talked about shop marketing earlier. You can use a pile of dead bodies. I wouldn't recommend it. You can. It's a tactic that works. We had the conversation last time about how do we make yours look really cool. The analogy I used was, what happens if you don't do it well? Technically your business goes under because it will lead on and cause a chain reaction that will cost a huge amount of fines from HMRC because you didn't do your books right. Then you can't pay the fines. Then you're out of money. Then you go bankrupt. Catch you later. So it's about positioning yourself as the expert, but also, when you get the attention, don't take it for granted. Especially nowadays, because all it takes is you to not take it for granted for 3 seconds and they're gone. Especially on TikTok. You need to remember, all they need to do is this. And you're gone. Now, if you're really lucky, it'll be another one of your videos. And if they're in your feed, it will be. But if they're on the FYP, you might win the lottery and get another chance. In most cases, you probably won't. Right? So now let's think about your audiences. What is the common question that you've been asked across your careers? You're only allowed to choose one, but what is the common question? That you can fix, that you can say, you do this and it fixes that problem. Take a couple of minutes, think about it. I'll give the others a minute.
Patient expectations. Like, what are they going to get out of this treatment? Are they just there for the one session and then they're out the door? Or, which is cool. They won't be fixed because it's just one treatment.
I think you're thinking too laterally. I think, are you going to make my back click? That would be my common question. Does it, when the clicking happens, does it hurt?
Can you break people's
oh, she goes, I need to see a chiropractor. And she goes, I was looking for someone. I was going to recommend it. She's like, yeah. But she was only wanting one session. I said, you know, that's not going to do anything for you. I think a lot of people do, and that's what he said. I think a lot of people think, I'll just go along and fix it, and then it's done. That's not how it works.
I'll be fine.
You need a series of treatment.
Yeah, a lot of people, especially with the neck, are nervous, and because they see the films and they see people twisting and which is not happening. Not realistic whatsoever.
Think about it.
It's the most gentle thing.
But you do click them.
It goes crack, yeah. It goes.
Most amazing
It's like the
thing
same
there
noise
as
as
well.
picking your knuckles.
Oh, I like
It's
that.
gassing,
I like everything
gas
but the neck.
escaping.
Because you could kill
The
me.
joints.
So weird.
My son can do it,
It's
just
like
going like
education.
that, and you just hear this.
So does everyone have their question?
Ours is a joint one.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Mine's more of a statement than a question.
Okay. What's your statement?
Why change? So, for example, with a business or a person, what I hear a lot is, always done it this way, why do I change? And there's
Okay.
lots of good reasons why they should, but yeah. That's
Okay, so
something I
let's
hear a lot.
let's explore that. Why should they?
Why should they change? From a business perspective, it would be you have to stay current and you have to do things differently to keep your business afloat. Because if you don't, you look at Debenhams, you look at Marks and Spencers. I mean, how many times have they been up and down? And they're big brands, and if they don't.
Now, Marks and
change,
Spencer is a very interesting one because they pivoted. We're talking about pivoting, right? This is what we're talking about here. And Marks and Spencer specifically pivoted very fast into food, and then they strategically placed their food halls in the middle of clothing. And they then went, hey, we're going to also buy petrol stations, right? So they were very quick, and Marks and Spencer is one of the businesses that's very fast at pivoting. Now, they've also pivoted, and it's gone horribly wrong. But when you pivot quickly, it doesn't matter. Because you only have to get it right 50% of the time, and you're fine. Right? So think about how you can talk about change for your clients, or the transition that you're going to give clients, in 1 minute. What was your question?
Well, specifically with regards to medical insurance, for example, a lot of people think they can't be covered because they've got conditions already, or they've had conditions. Oh, you wouldn't cover me. I've had problems. And the reality is, you can cover all of. You can cover all that. You can't necessarily cover the condition, but you can cover them. So if new things come back, also those things can sometimes come back under the cover. But people's expectation is that, oh, you just simply wouldn't be able to cover me, and medical. Whereas life insurance, sometimes that can be the case.
Dismissed.
Yeah, so they sort of dismiss it, thinking, oh.
What specific illnesses, concerns, worries, etc. is it specifically?
Anything really.
Can you give a common example?
Oh, someone might have diabetes or blood pressure, or had a hip done, or hurt their knee. They just had it's not specific. It's more they've had a series of issues.
Yeah.
And they think, well, actually, you never cover me, because they think it's price, or they think perhaps it's priced against their conditions. Again, it's neither. It's not.
So how I would tackle that is pick one that you feel is the most common,
Sure.
and then hold on to your answer in 1 minute. So why, if I had diabetes, can I still be covered? Okay, you can't get X, but we can give you Y and Z.
Sure.
Okay? So think about how you could craft that into a 1 minute conversation. What was your...
Yeah, I think then a good one was pain. People's expectations. Like, is it going to hurt if I get my back cracked? No. But then they would think.
Well, that was easy. Thank you, everyone.
It's like this complicated. Yeah, if you think it's going to hurt, it's going to hurt. I could also relate to people that think they're too broken to be fixed. If someone's had a condition for so long, and they think, I'm a lost cause, I don't think you can fix me, it's too far gone, I put up with it myself now, so I think, and you're too expensive, so I won't invest. Because you're not on the NHS, you're not something I can easily go to. In this country is especially a factor. We're not as integrated into mainstream healthcare, so that's another thing, is the reaction that we get in America and like Australia, like Northern Europe. Chiropractic is really big. It's getting better here as well. So these people are becoming more aware. But then that would be
So what's so what specific part of that do you think you can focus on in 1 minute? Because there's a lot there, and there's a lot of opportunities to create content around that. But for this exercise, it's very important to just target one thing that your target audience wants, needs, cares about, and go, right, I'm going to go and answer that question.
I think the easiest one, or the one I could do in a short amount of time, would be the pain aspect, stopping people from coming because it will actually hurt me. That's a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So think how you're going to make someone feel. If I came to you and said, I'm really, genuinely, high level of anxiety, worried about whatever you're going to do, hurting me, how in 1 minute, you only have 1 minute, are you going to make me feel at ease?
Our main thing that we get asked by people is if they can come to a free tester session.
Okay.
In case it's not for them.
A free taster session of what though?
Of networking. Because
Right, okay.
obviously there are big groups out there that do that, absolutely. Our argument is we host those coffee mornings, which are always free, so that people can get that taster of what we're about before coming to an evening or a workshop, say. But we don't, and also it's not like we're breaking the bank, to be honest. We're not asking for, the other thing is, the main ones that offer the free memberships, you pay monthly, you sign into a pay monthly thing, so you need to have that free taster because you don't want to then sign up for like 6 months or a year, whereas we're pay as you go. So
Okay, so how can you frame, so the question there actually is not even a question, it's how can you frame what's currently a disadvantage to being an advantage, right? Marketing's all about framing, right?
well, how do you say that in a positive way? Like, if you don't like it, just don't come again.
No. How you frame it, okay, I'll answer your question. Some of the other opportunities that you may have to network require you, after your free entries, to become a paying subscriber for a period of time. It's expected to be 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months. However, we
Are very flexible.
we give the option for our customers to be able to be as flexible as they please. We give them the option to be able to have other options like coming to workshops, like or not doing just things that are just networking in one capacity.
Our free network events are the coffee mornings.
Yeah.
However, if you would like to try,
Come to the coffee morning.
Yeah.
you see how I've just tried to reframe.
Yeah.
You when you said it was a problem, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's pretty much how we did reply to someone that asked
We did say
recently.
don't come
I don't
again,
know
we
what.
said-
Yeah, no.
So basically, if you don't like it, no.
Don't go for it, don't pay for it.
We basically said the coffee mornings are a free opportunity to get to know us, what we're about, and that it's
So the bit on language I would tweak there is instead of saying us, because that would imply you and you, get to know our community, because that implies larger than Galen and Nick.
and actually the coffee mornings are a really good place to start.
In the nicest way possible, it's not about Galen and Nicky,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is, 100%. No, it's not. It's about the overarching community.
And the feel of coming to an event, and that's what we want to get across in the videos as well, like by filming some of them, that people can see for themselves that it's nice.
And the coffee mornings definitely aren't about us, because if we try and interrupt the conversation because of anything that we've tried, that we want to talk about, it's like, oh, I can't do it. Everyone's just so happy chatting.
So everyone now has a 1 minute idea,
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
right? The dog has a 1 minute idea that it wants to tell me as well. So there we go. So either on a notepad, if you've got one, on your phone, it doesn't actually matter. Write 3 bullet points that you need to hit. These are the important things I need to make sure I talk about.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Right?
Is that the wrong one piece of paper?
There are pens there.
Pen me?
It's almost as if we planned this.
Oh, sorry. There you go.
You're only allowed to write 3.
3 things for what? Sorry.
you've got a 1 minute conversation. 3 things. What is the point? What do you want to get across? Or how do you want your viewer to feel? 3 things. Important bits of information, what do you want the audience or the viewer to feel, or what do you want to get across?
Here we go, guys.
This is the bit where you get to go meet the ghosts, yeah?
Not back in 5 minutes.
You'll get lucky.
I have to come and save you from the ghosts. Yeah? Okay, what are you struggling about? Well, if you don't know, then I can't really help you, can I? Okay, let's break it really, really down.
What we've just talked about.
No, it's basically you're building a plan
Right.
for what we just discussed.
For that.
You're building your catalyst of ideas in your head. You're going, I need to make sure I mention this. I need to make sure I mention this word. I need to make sure I talk about this. It's so you don't go, when you go to do a video.
Yes. Okay.
And afterwards I'll explain why you do it in this form and you don't do what you've previously done, which is a teleprompter. Potentially. And the pros and cons behind it. And just while you're doing that, I'm going to go fill my mug. Nothing you write down here you can get wrong.
Oh, I can't.
No, you can't. How was Casper?
You just heard a door squeak as I came in though.
I think that what probably freaks you out is that when you go out there, by the time you've got into the loo, that's when the door from back here closes.
And
It's
it's
a soft closing, so it sounds like as you get into the loo, someone else is coming through the door, but they're not.
It's when Casper
get used
walks
to
through. Casper is a friendly ghost, remember that?
Started it, you
I
can
just don't
continue
like
while I see the ghost.
It's really funny because I'd love to go to like an abandoned place. You know what I mean? Like an abandoned.
I don't think you would, Galen. I don't think you would.
You would for about 5 minutes and then no.
I follow on Facebook all these groups where they literally go and film and take photos of abandoned asylums and hospitals and stuff. I love it. I'm just like, I'd love to do that one day, but actually I wouldn't because I'd probably just.
Think of all the ghosts that are in there, those poor, wretched souls that have been.
I told you, we're making a very different movie here. Like, I'm just saying, like,
I'm sure there aren't any ghosts.
I'm torn between whether I believe or don't believe in that stuff. Some days I do, some days I don't.
No. Well, if there are ghosts, I mean, there's a lot of dead shit that's happened over the last 4 billion years since they've been alive. So we'd be swimming in ghosts, like swimming in it'd be up to space. So I suspect, given that we're not, that there's.
You don't know that.
What can you see ghosts all the way up to?
Depends if you suspect laws of that sort of stuff.
Pardon?
I was going to say, this is a very complicated issue, none of which I'm an expert on, I'm afraid.
It's nonsense.
My dog keeps,
All right,
keeps
please
looking at the ceiling every night in the living room now. He looks at the corner ceiling, he just stares at it and then looks at
My
me as
two
if, you
cats
see
always
that?
stare at the stairs.
Yeah.
The bottom of the stairs, they always look there. They will sleep, absolutely sleep, suddenly boom, both of them look. It's a very old house, if you want to say that.
Mine's actually a new build, there should be anything there and he's staring at this one
depends
spot in the
what's been
ceiling
built
and I'm
on
just
those.
like,
It's dull.
stop looking over there.
It's all right, we've just talked about why everything is haunted and why we should be terrified for the rest of our lives.
There you go.
That's all you've missed. Literally, that's all we've missed.
Walk me to the
So, as we're not talking about ghosts, we could talk about ghosts. Ghosts are fun. But has everyone got their 3 points?
Yes.
Or slightly more? So, the reason why I got you to write these 3 points down is because if you fully script a video, you're going to be a robot or you're going to look like you're on drugs.
Like you're a psychotic on drugs, yeah.
Right? But if you have a brief guideline of what you want to talk about, don't fall down. Don't fall down. Here's one I made earlier. My brief guideline for today. Right? What it allows you to do is go, right, I've done that. Cool. I've done that. Cool. I've done that. What it actually allows you to do is be closer to a conversation. So if you were nervous about being up here talking, don't act as if it's you up here talking. Start by having a conversation. Why did I start this session with a question? Wasn't for me. Think about that for a second. Why did I start it with a question?
To engage the other people.
I wanted to hook you into the subject and take a quick real life example of this is your issue. Right, let's fix it. The reason why I started that is exactly what you have to do whenever you create a video. I'm now briefly going to go into the structure of a video. This is not to say you have to do it this way. This is how to optimally create a video. The first 5 seconds of a video is called a hook. The point of a hook is, surprise, I want your attention. You can do this with a question. You can do this with a statement. You can do this with some level of energy, e.g. me moving, for example. Right? Clapping, moving around, having energy, etc. Right? After the hook, that's when you have to add as much value as quickly as you can, because attention span is going to go. Right? The way you think about video specifically is every single person who's watching your video has an opportunity every second to leave. Right? Unfortunately, you don't have that reality, so I can be slower. I can take my time. I can pause. I can give you times to think. I can give you times to work on things, because we're not on the social media landscape. In the social media landscape, it's vroom, 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 right? So when you create a video, the reason why video is powerful is because you can condense time for people, right? If it was a written blog and it took 10 minutes to read, but you can do it in a 5-minute video, your video is going to be very popular. Because every single person's problem is, I don't have enough time. You've just saved me 5 minutes. I can watch the video and get the same information. That's not saying it's better than a blog, by any means. They're different mediums, different people at different times. If I want the information quickly and concisely, me watching the video is probably a good idea. But if it's only a 5-minute video, can I go into as much depth as a 2.5-hour workshop? Can I go into specifically your issues with video? Specifically, no, I can't. Of course I can't. I have to do content generally. I have to go, these are kind of averages, and these are kind of the solutions. But the reason why the coaching element is important is because then I can really get down into, okay, well, what's your specific issue? What's your specific issue, your specific issue, your specific, because I'm working with you one-on-one. I'm not looking at overarching how do we create this content or how do I add value to the room. I'm saying, how can I fix your problem as quickly as possible? And that's what you've got to do when you do video. Whether this is a 1-minute video, a 10-minute video, a 15-minute video. What people want is they want the information. You're the facilitator of that information. Now, there's lots of ways you can make it more entertaining. Change your location. Even if that's, I'm going to look this way, then turn this way, then turn this way, it's still changing. Moving, walk, change your tone, change your rhythm, change your pitch. Right? Jump to transition. Right, we're getting quite advanced now, but if I jumped and cut when I was in the sky, and then jumped in a different location, did the same thing, and I merged the two together, it would look like I jumped and landed in a different location. Then deliver a point, same thing. What I'm doing is I'm constantly changing things so that, oh my God, the audience is constantly having to guess, so they're not thinking, I'm going to switch off or I'm going to go somewhere else. They're going, right, reattract attention, reattract attention. If you've watched any of our content, you'll see sometimes the frame will be here, then it'll be here, that'll be here, that'll be here. What I'm doing is the same thing. I'm saying, look, change. Visually change. Now, this is when you're starting to get advanced, you want to optimize it, right? And that's what I said at the beginning. This is how to optimize a video. The only thing you need to think about at the moment is, what's your opening question and what are you going to answer? So from those 3 things you wrote down, now create an opening question. It could be, do you struggle with X? Do you think it's going to hurt? Are you worried about not being able to get life insurance? Are you worried about not being able to grow? Right? These are very simple questions. And then what you do, answer it straight away. Actually, yes, you can get life insurance. Actually, no, it's not going to hurt. Actually, yes, you can grow, but these are things to be aware of. Just take another couple of minutes. Write that first question as you plan to say it, and then the following line. So what's the following answer? Now, Galen's doing something very important here. She's actually looking for community problems within her already established audience to know what content to create. This is extremely powerful once you have a fan base. Because then you can go directly to the source. One of the reasons why I opened the workshop with, what are your issues, is because I know when I deliver the content for the next hour or so, it's not just going to be, Colton, this is really boring, I don't care. Because you just told me this is all the stuff you want.
Do you offer a free first visit for people to try? That's the exact question. So,
I'm kind of putting that question out there.
So there's two ways I would tackle that. Either option one, you say, you literally use that as your start, do you, and then you answer it.
Or do we?
Or do you, do we, etc. Does Ignite,
Okay,
right?
Ignite, yeah.
Or you do the opposite way around, and you say, most offer this, we don't because.
Right, so without saying the question.
No, I think we should go with the designate.
They're just different strategies.
Yeah.
Okay, which would you say is more impactful from the get-go?
It depends on, do you want more of a,
I think
are we
hearing
talking,
people say, like, free taster sessions, that would work as a good hook. Do Ignite offer, does Ignite offer free taster sessions? People are going to be like, oh, do they?
Yeah.
So they would then listen to the rest of it, and where we go.
because you need to remember, the point of the hook is you're asking permission for the audience to watch the rest.
Yeah.
Then
And I think
then
hearing the
question.
wanting to know whether or not we get
If you have a shit hook, it doesn't matter what you say after it. Because no one's going to watch the
I
video.
don't think people would want us to.
Because they're just going to go straight past.
I don't think people would want us to instantly compare to another network straight away by saying most other networks. I think.
And that's why I said potentially reframing it.
Yeah.
Because it's either you want to go full out, there's two options for you specifically. Either you go full out and we're going to compete. Okay, you've committed to that, right? No, that's fine. Look, do what you want.
Yeah, no,
I'm saying, either you fully commit, you're going to compete, and then you should do, they are this, we are this,
Yeah.
right? or we are this only and this is why we're unique.
Yeah.
One of my unique selling points is there's loads of other video people. Couldn't care what they're doing. I couldn't care what they're going to say. I couldn't care what's going on in their world. In the nicest way possible, I couldn't. Because I'm just solely focused on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you what my competitors are doing because I don't look. I don't have the time. I just go, right, this is a good idea, execute. This is another good idea, execute. That's a bit of a shit idea, execute. Oh, it's a really shit idea. Let's not do that again. But when you start building connections and building an audience, ask them what they want to know. Because then you're not just guessing. And that's when you'll be able to build the rapport and nurture them to potentially become clients or customers. Because you're literally going to what are their problem points? What are their pain points? And what do we do in marketing? We want to solve people's problems.
That's actually why we ask questions in the group sometimes, because we want people to say stuff from there that we can go, okay, we need a workshop doing on that, or we need a talk on that, or we need...
Yeah, like if half of the community went, we need to understand how video works.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
I didn't want to jump in and say that because I don't know the answer. But I'm assuming that's why it's offered,
Yeah.
right? Because it's a way of gauging demand as well,
Yeah.
right? If all of my community goes, I don't know enough about X, do you know what? I'm going to create all of my content for the next week on?
Yeah.
Whatever X was. Because you can go directly to the consumer and you can talk directly to them, and then you're not going to feel like you're not having a conversation, because you are. Because you asked, you received a question, and you're just answering it.
Yeah.
But also by proxy, by doing that, you're nurturing their trust to the point where, yeah, I need insurance. I need to talk to you because you do insurance. Oh, I need a new networking group. I need to talk to the ladies because they run a networking group. Oh, I need to do video. Colton's the only one I think of when I do video. Because every time you put a new piece of content out and someone consumes it, they're going to move front of mind, front of mind, front of mind. Doesn't matter if they just talk to a competitor, because you just came back to front of mind again. So it's like, I'll give you an example. If you were going to recommend a plumber, an electrician, or a coffee shop, I'm almost willing to bet it's probably the last one you interacted with in some way.
Yeah, I literally had immediately an answer for each of those things as you said it. Yeah.
Okay, but let's explore why. Was it because they were the last person you either saw a video from, talked to, or went to?
Talked to and went to, yeah. So people that I've talked to.
So you had an interaction.
Yeah, real life interactions with. And
Yeah.
the coffee shop is it's where I go. I want to go.
So you're building a habit. So you have built a habit to go to that one.
Yeah.
But there's lots of other options. So why don't you go to those?
Because I go to my favourite.
Okay, but why is it your favourite?
I like how it feels. I like
And that's the important point. Why do we create content? Because we want to make a meaningful journey and we want to change how our customer feels about what we do. Doesn't actually matter what the price is, doesn't actually matter what you do. You want to change their emotional attachment to it. Why do people come to me? Because I make them feel more confident. Not because I help them create videos. The videos is a byproduct of what I do. The reason why they have the conversation with me is because I help them feel more confident in the process of. So it's a win-win to them. We get some videos and we get to become more confident. See what I mean? So my question to you is, how can you tailor your content to be part of that journey for your customers and your clients? Because my path, and the reason why I never talk, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this, is because for me, that's going to work. But that's my way. Not going to work for anyone else. Because every single person here has a different style, different service, different product, different price, and they offer it differently. So what works for me is never going to work for you. And that's why you have to find your own path. Now, I can help you understand how to get down that path, but you're the one who has to walk it. All I can do is say, right, next step. Right, come on. Come on. Sometimes, right? But I'm not going to do it for you. The only way you're going to get good, and that's what I said at the beginning, the only way you're going to get good at doing anything, scrap video, anything, is through action. Right? You didn't magically know how to tie your shoelaces or magically know how to ride a bike. You did it, you fell over. Right? Using the bike analogy. Did it, fell over, did it, fell over, did it, fell over. Eventually, you stopped falling over. Why? Same with video. Same with anything else you do. The videos at the beginning are always car crashes. Always. When you talk publicly, it's always horrible first. But you have to get through those, and you have to get past that to be in the position where you can then come across well, come across how you feel, and actually make meaningful connections with your audience. And the key when you create content is not about you. You're a facilitator to your audience's answers. Outside of a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of this conversation, I've said nothing about me. Outside of, I am this person, I come from this company, it's located here. And that's just an anchor point so you know where I'm coming from. Everything else was just, what do you want to know? What do you want to know? You've got to flip it. If you don't know what your audience wants to know, ask them or guess. There's loads of resources online. www.askthepublic.com, any other website like that. I just use Ask the Public because I use it all the time. Ask the Public has a search bar at the top. Type in your niche, type in what you do. It will give you who, when, why, how, so on. A list of questions. That is 25 to 35, maybe 65 bits of content that you could create tomorrow. You haven't asked anyone, you haven't had a conversation, all you've done is opened a website, typed in your niche, and wrote some stuff down. If you're going to start and you want to just get numbers of videos done, go on a website like that and literally just answer every single question. I'll give you an example. Video marketing is, why is video marketing so important? How to do it? How expensive is it? Why is it? It's those kind of questions. Okay, right. I'm going to sit down. Why is video marketing so important? Video marketing is so important because blah, 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 blah. Next. Video marketing is expensive because blah, 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 blah. Video marketing is powerful because blah, 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 blah. You get the point. There will be answers in there that will, you won't know because at the beginning you've got no audience. So you're like, but that's why you do a load of them, because you throw a load of stuff against the wall and see what sticks. And you keep the bits that stick and go, right, okay, we're going to get rid of the rest of it. But that point gives you the momentum to then start building the audience, to then have the real conversations with the real people, which will potentially lead on to the business, which is why we wanted to all do it in the first place. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How are you all feeling?
Like it.
Do you want to take a 5-10 minute break before we do the practical bit?
Refresh coffees?
Refresh coffee.
Coffees, teas, waters, etc.
Yeah.
Let's do that. And should we blast the aircon for a bit? Because it's getting a little bit... I mean, I'm wearing 3 layers, so like, don't use my logic, because I'm wearing a shirt, a waistcoat, and a jacket, so I'm just going to boil whatever happens.
Yes,
But probably a good idea. Is it the yellow button?
Do you want any? Do we need to go out to the?
If anyone has used the bathroom, now is probably the time.